All right. So Aaron's here to show us something called Build Edge, which is a plugin built entirely in SketchUp on Ruby, right? That makes it easier for people like architects to make things like buildings, but in sort of a realistic, conceptual manner, if that makes any sense. This is the first of 4 presentations that are going to be given by companies who've taken either the API, that's the plugin code stuff that's Ruby that you've heard about for SketchUp, or the SDK, the way that other people can read and write SketchUp files to actually build products that kind of live inside the SketchUp ecosystem. We're really proud of them, and Aaron's agreed to go first. Big hand for Aaron Dietzen.
Thanks. Is this good where it is? All right, thank you. Before, I do want to show everybody our plugin. Before doing that, I just wanted to kind of give a little rundown on what we do, why we do it, that sort of thing. Talking about plugin development for SketchUp. Before I keep you on your toes. Build Edge is actually a product line of a larger company named Keymark. Keymark's been around and producing software for about 40 years. Their primary focus has always been architectural engineering software for the end of the building line. The component manufacturers, people make things like trusses or material yards. So the idea of BIM has gotten, has everybody heard that term before? Just once or twice? Anyone? Okay, a couple people. BIM is building information modeling, and the idea being that a single data model is used throughout the entire process of creating and managing a structure. Keymark has a lot of software in place already that fills a lot of needs in BIM. The issue is their software has always been tailored for that back-end user of the building process. So just under 2 years ago, Build Edge was formed. The idea of Build Edge is to take the strong points of Keymark software and move it to the front of the development line, at the beginning of the BIM model. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to provide a BIM solution that everybody could use, and we really wanted to do it fairly quickly. We wanted to be able to get out there and provide a solution. We decided that rather than starting from scratch, creating our own software, we would take advantage of a different three-dimensional front end, a different modeling software that already existed. We actually tried a couple different softwares that are out there and didn't always work great. We had limits with API, narrow API, the inability to access certain functionality, that sort of thing. We did create a couple of products, but it was never the home run that we wanted. And then we came across SketchUp. SketchUp seemed like the perfect solution. I mean, it had a very big open API. You could do just about anything in it. It had a very big, diverse user base already in place. And like John said, you can get it for free. It was pretty much the perfect solution for us. The idea of BIM, of course, is a very big, big thing. You're going all the way from the beginning to end to management of a building that's made. So we broke it down into chunks. The first piece we chose to address was the creation of the BIM model. Our first release of our software, named Build Edge Plan, addresses 2 key pieces of the structure. Those are the walls and the roof. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to hop in here and I'm going to start drawing a little bit and kind of talk through the process as I go and create a model real quick. So here's, don't make fun of my little toolbars, by the way. Some of you guys got a lot of toolbars. That's pretty brief. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out Build Edge Plan. You click on our single icon. That calls up our user interface. And from here, I can set properties of the entities I want to draw. So to start with, I'm just going to put a couple of walls in. So here I can come in and put in a wall width. So in this case, I'll do 5.5 inches. And this is based upon my units that I have in SketchUp. We don't take control of that. We let SketchUp do its thing. We just work with what SketchUp gives us. So if you have metric set as your template, then we'll work in metric. So I'm going to draw a 5.5 inch wide, 8 foot tall wall. I'm going to click, and I'm going to click. Just like drawing a line in SketchUp, and that's going to turn into a wall. So based on the properties I have here, it automatically creates a wall out of that. I'm going to go to the top view. I'm just going to put a couple more walls in. Just clicking, and as I create each wall, it does automatically connect to the previous wall. It also establishes a parametric connection at that point. That means I'll see this later on when I do some editing. If I move a single wall, walls that are connected to that wall will go along with it. If I want to change properties as I'm inputting, I just have to hop back over to the UI and say I want to step up to a 10-foot high wall. I type that in, and the next wall that I draw, there we go, is a taller wall. So I can continue going around there. I'm just going to put in a few extra walls, something like this. I'm going to hop back down to an 8-foot wall. Ooh, yep, 8 foot. Put a couple more walls in here. And close it up right there. Getting used to the mouse, too. So there we go. So a couple of exterior walls just kind of around in a group loop there. I can also use this to put interior walls in. So maybe I'll step to a slightly thinner wall. Say I have 3.5-inch interior walls. So I'll put 3.5. And I'll click to start a wall. And I can actually use my arrow keys to change the way that the wall falls. So I want to fall with the face of the wall over here. And then maybe I want another foot or another wall that's 2 feet down from this corner. I can actually click right here, start to draw, type in 2 feet, and it'll jump down 2 feet without actually drawing. So it keeps from having to go in and create a bunch of reference lines that I can snap to and that sort of thing. I can actually move around while I'm creating those walls. Pretty simple. This is where the fun starts, is once I get walls drawn in, I can actually start moving them, and the walls that are connected to those walls will move around. So if I want to modify, I can even very heavily modify the shape of my building, I can do that and my walls stay connected. So what I have is the beginning of a building model that's aware of itself. It knows what are walls, it knows what it's connected to. All these pieces actually talk to each other, so I can make changes like that, and the model updates itself. One of the biggest pieces we created was the roof engine. So while standard SketchUp, it is possible to do a wall layout. People can do that. People do that. Roofs have always been a little bit more challenging. Issue being, walls are essentially, for the most part, rectangles that go straight up and down. Roofs add angles, add things like heel heights, overhangs, fascias, all these different planes that go different directions that run into each other. So, of course, it's possible. SketchUp can do anything. That was a plug, John. But it's not always easy to do things in SketchUp. So what we wanted to do was come up with a way that people could input roofs and take all the grunt work out of that 3D modeling out of their hands, put it into the software, and have the software do it for them. So what we created was an interface where I can set the basic attributes of a side of a roof. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create lines that create an outline of a roof. Each of these lines has a set of properties, and I can see those right over here. What's the slope? What's the overhang? What's the heel height? That sort of thing. And I'm going to draw around on top of these walls, and as I draw each side, it connects to the wall. So it even knows, because these are walls that BuildEdge created, it knows about this step in height right here. So the 2-foot step in height, so when I draw a line on that wall, it'll actually jump up to the top there. So I'll continue drawing around, and again, at this point, just creating a simple outline. Every side of this roof is going to have the same properties. They're all going to be a 612 slope with a 2-foot overhang. And again, it saw the change in height and change there. You can see these lines that I'm drawing are blue. This is color-coded. I do know that if I draw a blue line, it's going to be connected to the wall below. If I draw a line that's not on a wall, I get a pink line. This line is not connected to a wall. This is going to be important when I do editing later on, because if I grab a wall with a roof line connected and move it, the roof line is going to go and stretch with it. So I'm going to continue on around here. And when I draw this last line, it's going to create a roof for me. So it's going to go through, calculate based on all the properties of each of the lines, what is the roof supposed to look like? And there's my roof. Thanks. So at this point, I can do some editing too. If I wanted to, I could take an individual line like this one right here and say, I actually want that to be a gable, not a hip end. I can turn off the slope. I can hit apply changes, and it updates. I want to take this line and, oops, it wasn't actually supposed to cantilever out here, so I can go say, move that line. There we go, and drag it back to the wall. And as I'm doing each of these changes, the roof is updating. Once I'm good with that geometry, I can say save that. And now I can come out, like I said, this is the really neat part. I can start grabbing walls and moving them, and the roof's going to update with it. So as I create that, I can really do things like conceptual architecture becomes a lot easier because I can actually mold it kind of like clay. Well, how would this look? What would I have to do with these walls in order to make this ridgeline line up? And I can actually just grab them and move them around. Once I've gotten to the point where this is one of the beautiful things about SketchUp, if there's anything that we can't do in the plugin right now, it's SketchUp. So if you have to go beyond what we do, or you have to come up with some crazy roof where it's shaped like a question mark, whatever, you can always take this base geometry, hit this button right here, it says commit to SketchUp. What that's going to do is remove all the proprietary information and leave you with a base SketchUp model. At this point, I can take anything that I just created and go modify it like it would any other surface in SketchUp. So I can do my final materials, I can render this model. Anything that I would do in SketchUp can be done after my base geometry has been created with Build Edge. So this is the first version that we created. The final release of the Mac version, which came after PC, just came out last week. We did have started on our next version. We're going to add a lot of really neat features that are going to take this even further. Things like putting doors and windows in accurately, some more roof features, multiple levels, floor systems, that kind of thing are all going to be going in the very near future. So that's my presentation for now. I'll be here all week. We are in the vendor tables, so swing by, ask any questions you have, or catch us. And thank you. Thank you, SketchUp.
What these folks have done is actually started to work on the problem of how do you take 3D models and share and collaborate with them in the cloud. So I present to you the folks from Sunglass. Big hand.
Thanks, Aiden. We're so glad to be here. We love SketchUp. I think what SketchUp did to the world some years back, it just democratizes the space, gets new kinds of users in the 3D space, and we want to extend it. So what we're going to do is take a round trip to the cloud and back, and from SketchUp. So just to give you some context, we've been working on this for the last year, and we have some great partners, including SketchUp, V-Ray, and it's all coming together. And what Sunglass does is allows you to quickly collaborate with your colleagues from around the world. It allows you to manage your projects on the cloud, and it also allows you to share your 3D work and celebrate it on the web as 3D, and without regressing into just images. So let's jump in. I think we would love to show the product, and that is Robin, and we'll just jump into the SketchUp plugin that we have built up.
Does that make you Batman?
All right. So this is it's Sunglass within the SketchUp environment. So what you do is, first of all, like on sunglass.io, you would have to create a repository. So that is basically where your projects are maintained. Once you do that, you can log in, and you'll see your projects on the cloud available to you right here in SketchUp. So you would download a project. So these are my projects, Robin's projects, on Sunglass. And he's going to load up one project right here. So what Robin is doing right now is sending this the SketchUp model, which you just saw, the big globe with sunglass on it, he's going to send it to the web. And this is happening in real time on our Wi-Fi. We just had to hack up a Wi-Fi here. All right. Oh, God. All right, so when you click on that link, you would be asked to kind of just log in. And let's see whether the globe appears. So this is Google Chrome. There we are. We're just logged in. And here comes the textures. Sorry about this. So while we're waiting, so this is a WebGL on the browser, HTML5. This is just not just a 3D space. It's a shared 3D space. So what we will show you a little later is actually sending out a link to your collaborator. And both of you can work and play around with 3D models right here on Sunglass as a Google Doc.
For the record, I've seen this with a real internet connection, and it's amazing.
Can you zoom out, zoom in? All right, now the next step is if you go back to SketchUp, why don't you break the screen in half? Yeah, why don't, and maybe make a change? So Robin just turned on a layer, and he's just going to update the model. So this is updating a model. So we have been working on creating a version control right here. So you don't have to save another project when you make changes. You can keep making changes and just update the file. We will keep track of all your versions and make it browsable on the browser. All right, why don't we, if anybody is on the Wi-Fi right now, we can just expose the link. So that is the link, really. If you log in, you will have this model from Robin immediately. So that's basically the power, that this is a shareable web document now. It's no more a model associated with an application. You can go ahead and share it with the world. All right, while this is happening, why don't we just talk a little more about Sunglass here. Let's look at the browser. Yeah, so we have created like a conversation panel. This is, the asset panel actually stores layers and the structure of the model. If you have a model with different layers, different parts and assemblies, when you upload it to Sunglass, that model structure will remain. What's more, you can actually invite people, share it by layer. So the permissions to view the model is layered. It's not like you're sharing the entire model. If your manufacturer is in China and you want to just share only the cover of the new phone you're designing, you can just invite to that particular layer, which is interesting. There is more. It's not just a place where we play with 3D, but also we can take snapshots and create notes. So Robin just is trying to try his Picasso skills here. and you can pin these notes in the 3D space itself. So this is right there. Anybody can, and this is in real time. So if somebody's on the other side, you can have these notes in real time. So that's recording all your conversations as you're having a chat or discussion around a 3D model. You get to record the entire session within Sunglass. So let's reload the page. The previous model just so this is the model update. So this is actually fairly important. We are really proud to kind of have this. This is, you can go back and look at other versions of the same file. Is it still, yeah. Just see what, yeah, on the other side. So what happens is, like, you get both the models side by side. You can look at the different versions that has been uploaded. So let's say you're building a bike and the frame got changed. So you can click on the frame and basically look at previous versions or the different options that has been created by your collaborators. Sure. Do you want to show the Sergey Brin's possible house that you... So let's... Yeah.
This is a house for one of the Google founders?
This was actually designed for him, but
does he know about it?
Was a competition. So this was done in SketchUp. Yeah, I should let Robin speak more about it. He was the designer here.
This is the coolest thing I've ever made in SketchUp, I guess, which isn't that much. But so as soon as we sort of got this thing hooked up to SketchUp, it was the first thing I wanted to throw at it. And I think it's about like a 53 megabyte file that, you know, it's sort of like chugs along. But even on this Wi-Fi, we'll see it soon. But it's a house, it's a residence that sits in a sort of like amazing landscape, and the concept for this residence, okay, can I do both at once, was to create these incisions into the landscapes with these big sort of rammed earth retaining walls, and then have these, you know, really light slats moving over them. So it's sort of like this concept of being really buried in the landscape and then sort of like floating above it too. But this is just that's what a SketchUp model looks like. Watch it. Yeah.
So, so you can also download it back. So that's the one thing. So if you open up a SketchUp document, and you can basically download this. So all you need is so basically from one machine to the other, you can just. So it's basically a to and fro. So it's not just a simple upload, but you can download it from anywhere.
We'll download something else. We'll download this. But so I guess I can explain why that doesn't show up there. We're making plugins for a number of different softwares, and we're moving towards being able to interact with someone from SketchUp with, say, someone from Rhino right now, but until we do that, we sort of only support like a one-to-one mapping, like only SketchUp users can push and pull to other SketchUp users. So we've added, sort of source flags, and I uploaded that model before we added the flag to tell SketchUp not to show it. But let's see the other one. It's still going.
All right. Cool. All right. Let's finish it off. All right. So again, just to finish it off, sorry, the internet was really slow here. We could not kind of show you some of the cooler things, but we are interested in people. How can we make platforms that enable people to design together? So what we have done here is created a browser-based platform via which you can basically connect people from different parts of the world and give them one shared Google Doc-like space where people can upload, download models, and make changes. You would be able to manage your documents right here, whether it can be a browser-based environment. It can be a desktop software like SketchUp. It can be also, we're coming up with the mobile plugin as well. And finally, we're creating a portable document via which you can basically post it on your Tumblr or your own blog and have your viewers see your projects in 3D directly without requiring any plugins or downloads. It's basically it's part of the internet. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. As Aiden mentioned, I'm Alex Oliver. Igloo Studios is our company. Product Connect is the product that I'm going to be showing off today. A quick history. Some of you may know us from Igloo Studios. Mike Tadros, John Schaffner in the back, and myself are here. We started as a company that did a lot of training and modeling to help out people in this industry, this architecture, engineering, construction industry. We still do those things, so we still provide those services. But it was through our experience over the last several years, we kept on running into this hurdle, primarily with architects, but then some of the product companies that were trying to reach them with products and materials. And this hurdle was, hey, how do I get stuff that's a little bit smarter into SketchUp, and then how do I get my data out? There was a significant hurdle overcome with the introduction of dynamic components. So dynamic components allowed a ton of new flexibility to this end, and you could actually generate some reports out of there. But there were still a few things that we wanted to work around, and we had done it enough on the side with this idea of extending SketchUp to what it could be using internal Ruby scripts and things like that. But we decided, hey, what if we can create a little bit more of a framework? It'll help us with our clients. And then if we can get it out there, give it away for free and open source it, maybe it's one of those things where some of the problems we've had to solve, we can get the community to be able to use to solve each of your individual problems. So I'm going to talk a little bit first about what Product Connect is right now. And like I said, our company is Igloo Studios. Product Connect is just the product that we're showing. So first and foremost, Product Connect is a plugin for SketchUp users. I was kind of a wuss, and I didn't decide to give a live demonstration here. I figured, I'd probably crash SketchUp. So I'm going to go to our video. If you've gone to our website, you might have seen this already. For those of you that haven't, it's about a 2-minute video showing you what the plugin is right now.
If you use Google SketchUp professionally, you already know that it's the best tool for communicating your design ideas. But what happens after you've sold your idea? For most of us, we begin the time-consuming process of documenting the product choices that have been made. And, like most of us, you'd rather be doing something else. That's why we created Product Connect for Google SketchUp. Product Connect helps document the choices you make about the products in your project. With Product Connect, we make it easy to design with real products. Here's how. We make them easy to find. We make them easy to insert. We make each model beautiful, so your presentations look beautiful. And our models are dynamic. We add information to products, so you don't have to. We add stuff to our products to make your job easier. With Product Connect, we help you add product information. Here's how. We let you edit information about products and materials. We help you save the information you need and let you ignore the stuff you don't. We let you turn any component into a product. We let you specify a product type and add information to any material. With Product Connect, we document your product choices. Here's how. We let you create reports about the products in your project. We make it easy to pick which reports you want to export. We show you a preview of your reports and let you make last-minute changes without having to start over. We let you edit your schedules in any spreadsheet editing application. We believe Sketchup is the best way to sell your professional design ideas to your clients, and with Product Connect, it's even better. Product Connect. Product models and designer tools. Visit igloostudios.com and download Product Connect today.
So, thanks. Sorry to Bryn, we haven't changed the Google on that SketchUp. We're going to get around to that pretty quickly. So you might be saying, for those of you who are experienced with dynamic components, there was some intermixing there of what Product Connect does, what dynamic components do out of the box. So I'm going to clear that up as well. And you also might say, that looks interesting if maybe I'm an interior designer. Is it really for me? And I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But I want to move on to one other aspect of what Product Connect is right now to us. Internally at Igloo Studios, we get asked to create a lot of product models on behalf of building product manufacturers, appliances, chairs, carpet, paint, you name it. And we've created a lot of tools that right now we haven't put out there. They're not really sort of user interface ready, but a lot of tools for creating dynamic components, so people who are authoring dynamic components. Primarily, the tools are designed to help us distribute better product information on behalf of the manufacturers. So we've created, going pretty close on 20,000 dynamic component models. And those models represent, when you think about all the configurations, you could do well over 100,000 different product SKUs. So that's a massive amount. We don't have hundreds of people working for us. So these tools allow us to do things at a pretty large scale. Another thing that our tools allow us to do is track the usage of these components. So what we're talking about here is on the 3D warehouse, you're able to see by model some of the, hey, how much has this been downloaded the last couple of weeks? But it gets to be tough when you have thousands or tens of thousands of components to figure out downloads and views over time periods, by collections, in a category like, say, all appliances, stuff like that. So we're creating reports on behalf of our clients that way. And maintaining those product catalogs. Things change. So you might have something where you put out a whole line of chairs, and then next year you discontinue some stuff, you change a few of your web addresses. How do you redo all of that work in SketchUp? We've created a lot of tools to make that a little bit easier. But we have a vision of where we want Product Connect to go next, and some things that we're working on behind the scenes. And it's what I really wanted to share with you guys the most, because it has implications for, I think, most people in here, depending on which angle you're coming at SketchUp. So the way we think about Product Connect is that we're building a platform, an open source platform for users, authors, and developers. So here's what I mean by that. Right now, today, this is a faucet, this is a SketchUp model, and inside of it, the component options window. So like I said, dynamic components allows anyone that can create the model to add some great information to the component options window. We've been trying to work around limitations that I've been talking about, and one of those limitations for manufacturers is about creating an experience that's a little bit more branded. So some of the things we're working on is a framework underneath that allows you to just, when you click on the dynamic component options window, that just allows you to swap out what you're seeing, because this is really just like a miniature web page inside of SketchUp. And now you can offer information that's a little bit more rich. So a lot of manufacturers have gone to the trouble of creating databases of information, extra graphics. They also might want you to be able to configure this in a couple of different finishes before you even bring it into SketchUp. So a few different ideas here around what can we do to create a better experience. If for some reason you don't have the Product Connect plugin installed when you launch your dynamic component, we've also thought about, hey, you should still be able to just use normal dynamic components. We don't want you to sort of get an error there. So that's one of the ideas that we're working on. Another idea, this is a product that is very highly configurable by a company called Nano Wall. So these folding glass systems where you can choose, as you see in the normal component options window. So again, this is just regular dynamic component creation and regular sort of authoring of different kind of configurable options. The awesome thing about dynamic components is you can do so much. But one of the hurdles with a company like this is this can come in so many options, this system, that as you try to program them into dynamic components, it can get to bog SketchUp down a little bit. And sometimes when you make a choice like, how many panels do I want? And then which direction are they going to swing when I click to open them? And a few other things, it becomes impossible to make those options conditional on one another. So again, not just rebranding or sort of giving it a different skin, but actually having conditional options where, kind of like a selection wizard, Nano Wall has this on their website, why not allow there to be a framework for you to work through selections as you're figuring out as a user what you want your component to look like. This has implications for somebody building dynamic components, or maybe a developer of another SketchUp application or another external application that wants to take advantage of coming in and out of SketchUp. Some other things too. So we've talked about conditional options and swapping of what things look like. Another problem too is that we'll find that you often want to edit things that are already in your model, product models. And so there's a lot of great Ruby scripts that have already been created to allow you to, say, swap a component or swap a material. When taken within the context of, in CraftMate's case, 2,000 cabinets representing 10,000 different SKUs, and having so many options when it comes to what door do you want on your cabinets, what color do you want them to be. Once you put all those in there, it's fairly difficult to figure out how to change all of these en masse to just be a different color or maybe a different door front. So we've been working on options to allow interdependent switching of components like doors or materials, like maybe what the color and the finish is going to be. I should mention, these things that I'm showing right now, we've been working on how to get these working on our machines locally. We haven't got this in, if you go download Product Connect today, you won't be launching these kinds of interfaces yet. So I'll get in just a moment what we're doing about that as far as getting some people to beta test things. So the other piece that we're working on too, so if you saw in the video, right now we just offer a .csv download. So that's a common delimited file that you can view in a spreadsheet application, so you can download all the product lists out of your SketchUp model. And we showed how there's some schedule types. You'll see that they're very kitchen and bath oriented. We started with a small section of SketchUp users to try to figure out a great first step for our plugin. What we're working on now is things like custom templating. So you might want your report to look all sorts of different ways, if it's a bill of materials, or if it's an order form or something like that. You might also want the data to come out in a flexible format. Maybe it's a PDF. Maybe it's something that you want to go to the web, or maybe XML if you're taking it into another application or back and forth from the database. When you think about this, this has, again, implications on the user side. I'm just a SketchUp user who wants better looking reports, customized templates. Or maybe if you're looking on the developer side, how could I get really good product information working in and out of my application? So what next? If you're a user, right now today, some of the things you can do. One is just, you could download the Product Connect plugin. There are, like I said, nearing 20,000 different dynamic component models on the warehouse that when you have the plugin installed, it can read that information about those models and then report on it. If you have things that you like to use in your own component folders or somewhere else that you find on the warehouse, you can use the plugin to add your own information and still get it to report out. We've seen a lot of really interesting uses from heavy civil engineering firms customizing on their own with the existing plugin the ability to do takeoffs when they're doing their job. And we've seen a lot of other folks use some more standardized schedules like you saw in the video. The other thing, join beta testing groups. So either myself, Mike, or John, who are all here, We've just started this putting together beta testing groups. We've had some available for the plugin, so when we're thinking about releasing new features for the plugin, joining the beta testing group so you can give us your feedback on that. But we've started a new thing where we're beta testing product models. So what we mean by that is dynamic components where we're starting to build in these layers of extra functionality and saying, hey, how do you really use this when you're trying to specify products in your workflow? Making sure that the technology we're building is meeting up with the real workflow you have. If you make dynamic components, whether just for your own self, whether you do it on behalf of manufacturers or other people that need a bunch of models, we've been developing a network of modelers to take advantage of our tools that I mentioned. So right now, our tools are only used internally, these tools to develop large amounts of catalogs. Our tools allow you to add data to thousands or tens of thousands of models, all from a spreadsheet. Our tools also are meant to just help with the actual geometric modeling of things. Some of them help with importing stuff from another file type. So we're just starting to try to find more modelers. There's way more work than we could possibly do as Igloo Studios, trying to find a lot more modelers who are interested, again, in helping manufacturers, anybody else that needs to get a ton of content going on. As John Backus mentioned earlier, with wherever the warehouse may go and what it is right now, it's a great place to distribute this sort of stuff, so we just need to keep good quality content going up there. And developers, so I mentioned open source. Our framework isn't up on GitHub yet, but it's something we've been wanting to do. The Product Connect plugin is free, and we gave it an open source license from the get-go, because we knew that ultimately, after we built this first version, got a lot of feedback, and started down the path of, hey, how can we make it better? We knew that we wanted to reach out to different other folks in the community and say, hey, could this be helpful when you're developing your application? You know, can your rendering application read all the materials and all of the components up there? Or perhaps, do you have some sort of external application that's project management software and there's some interaction with products that could be done there? So this is something where if you're interested, again, just talk to us at this conference. We're going to put you on a list and let you know when we know more. So that's it. I've run out of my time. And again, check it out at igloostudios.com. And anything that I talked about that's not up there today, give us a wave here at the conference. And if you don't see me, like I said, Mike and John, if you could stand up and wave your hands around there in the back corner there. So thank you, guys.
Hello. As pronounced, I'm Koenraad Nijs. I will present the studio today. Now, I'm the guy with the PC and the PowerPoint and some movies, so I'm very sorry, but that's the exception made. Okay. The Dimension Studio, we've been doing a lot of BIM work and BIM analysis since, let's say, 1985, 1986. I'm feeling sometimes like a prehistoric monster when I'm talking about that in these times. We focus with the studio. What we do is we are still a small Belgian firm located in the Kingdom of Belgium. We have some offices in Holland and also in France shortly. We are focusing on the AEC market and BIM market, and we are focusing on integration of existing applications, exchanging information in an interactive way between all kinds of applications, MS Project and SketchUp, but also Revit with Relatix, which is a system engineer's database, etc. So that's what we try to do: no duplication, full data integration, and on object level. Now, one of the things I'm going to show you today is a 4D virtual builder. It's a product you can download. It's a product you can use and buy. And otherwise, I will show you ongoing projects which we are developing actually for clients in France and Holland, and which can give you some extra and supplementary ideas. Our main clients are situated in Europe, the surrounding countries, but we also have a series of customers around the world with the 4D virtual builder. Just a short word about the technology which is behind. We have developed what we call an XD server, which is an application which can run locally on a computer, but also web-based. to link all kinds of informations together into one big data model. And through the XD server, we exchange this information which is relevant for the project. And we are focusing more on project management, on the life cycle, than on the pure design or the rendering. The design and rendering are other kinds of aspects which we do not cover in our applications. Shortly, we have been extending this idea of XD server into different teams which we can find in a project, in a construction project, let's say, and that's where the XD server and the dashboard application appear more and more. Okay, so we see SketchUp not as a rendering tool. We don't see SketchUp only as a modeling tool. We see it also as a data visualization tool, an integration tool which permits you to visualize data, to visualize a construction sequence, to visualize other kinds of information on this within the workflow and integrate it with other applications. So as I told you, I've got 4 or 5 things to show you. I'll start with the 4D Virtual Builder, and then I'll go to some other applications whenever the time permits me to. But the 4D Virtual Builder is the first thing we'll go to tackle. Now, what is a 4D Virtual Builder? As explained, is an extension of 3D into 4D, which means we add time. And time in project idea is most of the time is project schedule. It doesn't have to be necessarily, but most of the time it is project schedule. So what we do is we dynamically link together, on the one hand, a schedule. In this case, it's a Power Project schedule. I don't think it's used in the States, but anyhow. And we link it together with a project model in SketchUp, a model which can be a very complicated model. I'll show you some examples later on, or a very abstract model on an abstract layer, in this case, a sample in the port of Rotterdam, where about 11 projects, sub-projects, had to be managed into one big situation. We talk about 4D and XD, XD being more than 4D. That's the idea behind. Okay, normally I do a live presentation, but as I'm limited in time, I recorded my presentation, and then I will have an event, a table tomorrow, so you can also come there and do it live, or see what can be done actually. So I've got a small sample here, which is a very urban context model, and we have added in this case also the toolbar, the virtual toolbar, which you can see here, which opens up a series of other applications, and one of them, of course, is our XD window, which is now behind here, and the next step is to open up an MS Project file to link information together. So I open up an MX project file, which also functions with P6 Primavera and with Power Project. You can see here it's a very, very limited schedule just to show the principles of functioning of this model. I've got 4 tasks, 1 demolition task, 2 construction parts, and an environment which has to be kept all the time. So what we do, in this case, we select all the information in all the tasks we want to select, and we link it to our SketchUp model. Now what you see is we haven't imported it, we linked it together. I can't show you that on the movie, but if you modify something in the MS Project file, you can immediately see the results in the 4D model, which we're going to construct now. So we have a series of XD objects with a start and an end date, and eventually also other kinds of attributes or parameters which are defined in MS Project. What I have to add in this case, I have to add the selection of objects within SketchUp. So the simple way to do is to select these objects and to click on an icon, the plus icon here, in our window, our XD window, and objects are added. And as you see also in this case, we see that the links are added at the end. You can see here the links of the house icon indicate that SketchUp has been linked to this task in this case. The same thing we do for the environment. I select it all and I attach it to the environment. Okay. One thing to do before we have a model is to define the activities of the different tasks. It can come also out of MS Project, but in this case, we only have a very limited planning. So what I'll do is I say 2 construction, 1 demolition, and 1 environment planning. And then our model is ready to use. And in fact, then I can navigate through time. And for instance, here I've got a list of all kind of milestones. So milestones are the moments of modification, of beginning of ending of a task, of an activity. We select one, and then we see that the model changes. The model changes according to the activities which have been allocated onto XD objects. And for instance, what you see here is that the yellow parts are demolition parts, and the red ones are construction. Now, as we see here, we have a problem, because construction is going on at the same time as demolition in this case. So it's an abstract model. I've got other models to show you which are more elaborated, but this shows the principle and the idea which is behind. Now, how do we use the coloring? The coloring is just made up out of SketchUp materials. So we generate a series of materials according to the status of the different activities, and then we can modify these materials as you see here. I don't have to explain this to you all. I suppose you all know it far better than I do. It's only the material editor in this case. Of course, materials can be elaborated, can be very detailed, can be very general. The idea, of course, is to make this a kind of interactive tool for planners. It's not only for designers, it's more for project managers, planners, to see what they're actually doing and to communicate with other people around it. Now, one way to communicate is to give a SketchUp model. Another way is to generate PowerPoints. And based on this model, we generate PowerPoints, let's say 1 slide per date chosen, and based on a template which you can define on the forehand. In this case, we have a template with some images on, some text, and we find, in fact, in SketchUp plugin the same layout, and then you can say, okay, I want this view to be replaced by a view on top view and a front view, etc., etc. Okay, the system goes. Once you define that, you can start the generation, and depending on the project, now this would take about a minute to generate. Of course, here I've got a small cut in the movie. It's about a minute for this project, and even less. If you got bigger project, of course, it can take up to 10 minutes, a quarter of an hour, something like that. But it's automatically. And the advantage of having this PowerPoint report is that it's accurate with the planning. It's accurate with the model. If there is a problem, you can see it. It's not something which has been manually drawn or manually modified or manually interpreted. No, a change, a modification, you just change the planning and you've got a quarter of an hour later, you've got a new schedule, a new report, let's say. Of course, you can also make many animations, but that's not something we focus on this side. We've done some extended series of projects, site construction, in this case, BAM, UK, the Cambridge project, Cambridge trial. We also used render tools. In this case, I think it was Podium to render automatically. 2 minutes. Okay, I have to go quickly. See, I overestimated time. This was a part for Bouygues, and this is a project we've done ourselves for Zaha Hadid in the port of Antwerp. And in fact, it's a Revit model we've translated in an intelligent way to SketchUp to be able to do this kind of visualization. Okay, some other kind of developments which is going on. We are going to embed also this kind of interactive graphs within the 4D model. I'm going quickly now. If you want to see it, come tomorrow. The actual versus baseline comparison, which is what is too late, what is on time, etc. And a logistic on-site management tool which we are developing for Bouygues. I'm going to skip this. This is a more kind of parametric design. It's another example out of Excel where you can actually do the same thing with Excel, but also parameters modified within the facade. Another example which is quite interesting, I think, and which I would like to show very briefly at the end, is a project in Holland where we use Sketchup as a online, not yet online, but it will come, configurator for individual houses. So people can build their own houses online and then buy the house or upload it to a web server, and all the parameters in the web server are stored out of this house. I can start a movie, and then on the other side of the database, we have a kind of technical environment which permits Tekla on one side and Revit to get out all the information, geometric and parametric design, and to build up again all the model to steer production, to steer technical drawing, etc. So this is a kind of extended, it's an ongoing project, it's not finalized. We are also going to use a web interface, and I heard some interesting stories here, which I should contact. But this is what you see. We load up the information out of the database. You see the model which is generated here. And then, of course, you jump a little bit further, and once you've modified it, it's a kind of parametric design here with the web dialog. And once you modified all these or a series of models, you upload them to the web server, to the data server by web services. And on the other side, we have other applications. And I've got a part of the movie is showing Revit, so I will stop it here because I don't think people will be happy to show Revit here in this conference. Okay, just the last slide, I think, to thank you or something like that. This is, for the virtual builder, is in fact, I'm skipping this one. This is our site where you can download and have more information about our Sketchup running projects. That's it.